Hello and Happy New Year! Welcome to 2022. Let us hope it is a better year than the last couple have been. Before we get back to boating content, and yes, there will be further boating content, notwithstanding my chocolate mousse video on Christmas Day. Fear not, the channel has not turned into a cookery channel. There will be boating again, as there has been for the majority of the 6+ or so years that I've been doing this. But before we get back to that, I just want to revive a little feature I used to do in the first, I think it was 2 or 3 years of doing this channel, always on New Year's Day. And that is me just highlighting some other YouTube channels which I rather enjoy watching. And the reason I do this is because, well, it's New Year's Day, and if you're anything like me, it's a chilled day, a day for just relaxing and de-stressing and maybe watching a bit of YouTube. Now, there's loads of stuff I watch on YouTube, but I have picked out just a small number, 4 in fact, of channels that I really do think set the bar way up high. These are the ones that aren't just interesting to watch, but are really well produced by people who know how to shoot a shot and how to edit and how to compile a story and really put it together into a really good video. I mean, anyone can pick up a camcorder or a phone and shoot off some shots and slap them together in an editing program. That's easy, but it's like anyone can use a word processor, but it doesn't mean they know how to write a good story. There are people who know how to craft things together, and the 4 channels I'm going to suggest to you today are, I would also suggest, examples of people who really do know what they're doing. They mould the story, they take the shots, they squish it all together into a beautiful synergy that makes a lovely bit of video that is something well worth having a look at and maybe going and clicking on their subscribe button. I would invite you to make suggestions as well in the comments for channels that you enjoy watching, but with the big caveat that, like before, I'm going to set some rules, and these rules will be strictly enforced by me moderating the comments. Those rules are, number 1, no channels with fewer than 1,000 subscribers, simply because until you've got at least 1,000, you really haven't got yourself up and running as a channel. There's a lot of people who put up a few videos, they get a few subscribers, and they just fade away gently. But once you've got to 1,000, you've kind of got in your stride, you're more likely to continue as a channel. So until you get to the 1,000, I don't think we can really count you as necessarily worth adding to the list. But equally, please, no channels with more than 100,000 subscribers. You get a little plaque from YouTube at 100,000. It means you've kind of made it. You don't really need the promotion here. We're looking at the mid-tier channels with the 10, 20, 40, 60,000 subscriber level. Rule number 3, no boating channels. If you're watching my channel, you probably already get numerous narrowboating, sailboating, all other kind of boating channels recommended to you anyway, so we don't need to promote those. Let us widen our scope and look at things outside of the boating sphere. Sort of rule 4, I suppose, is no self-promotion, no shameless self-promotion. I'm sure you wouldn't be thinking of doing that anyway. Right, without further ado, let's get on to my suggested channel. Number 1, please. Wee Brown Van, which, if you don't speak native Scottish, means small brown van. This is Mike and Trish and Kira the dog and Maggie the camper van, and they document their adventures in their camper van, just touring around Scotland and Wales and bits of England. And it's a nicely put together channel. As I mentioned, all the channels I'm about to mention, they know how to film, and clearly this man is no stranger to a tripod. The shots are steady, they're nicely composed, the edit is good. I would say this channel is a bit like the camper van equivalent of a canal video. I don't think Mike and Trish will mind me saying they're not young millennials running around and sort of in your face, yeah. It's a much more canal-paced kind of video, a gentle, lovely wash of the places they go to see. And I often get people saying on Cruising the Cut, why don't you show us some of the places you visit by boat? And my answer to that is always because I want this channel always to be about canals and narrowboating. It's not a travelogue of Britain by boat. It's about canals and narrowboating, and if ever I'm likely to do stuff about places, it would be over on my camper van channel. Well, if you like the stuff about places, go and watch Wee Broon Van, because they do a lovely job of documenting the various places. They go and see loads of old ruined castles and towns of interest, and they walk around. He flies his drone up and just does some really nice shots. It's very nicely done. They're a very engaging couple. The dog is lovely. Their dog, Kira, reminds me of a family pet we used to have, running around with much excitement. There's no high drama. There's no great clickbait sort of, oh my, what's going to happen next? On their most recent video, the highest drama was who would skim their stone the most bounces across the sea. But it's just very nice stuff to watch. So that is a definite recommendation for you. I'll leave a link in the description below. Go and check out Wee Broon Van. Selection number 2 kind of follows on a bit from Wee Broon Van, in that it's somebody in their van going out and doing adventures. There are a lot of American RV channels, and by and large a lot of them are, you know, kind of the same. People just pointing a camera, waving around, doing vlogs, either of them in their RV or living in their RV. You know what I mean? There's a lot of it about, and much of them are much of a muchness. But Soft-Roading the West, he's got it down to a T. Really good filming. This is someone who takes the time and the effort to get out of their car, go and set up the camera, set it rolling, go back to the car, drive the car past the camera, go get the camera again, move the camera, drive the car away from the camera, come back, get the camera, all to get the different selection of shots to make it a more interesting video, rather than just pointing the camera through the windscreen. The love and the care and attention to getting the shots is what really raises a channel, and Donald here, for that is his name, he makes that effort, and he's got a nice eye for a shot as well. Just the composition and the cinematography and the selection of the shots, and there's a nice mix of him talking in his now what would you call this, a truck camper? I'm not sure what the proper term for this would be. I think the Australians would call his vehicle a utility vehicle, a 4x4 truck thing with a camper mounted on the back, and it's got one of those kitchen units that you sort of pull out on slide rails, so you're cooking outside, and then in the actual camper unit itself you're really just sleeping. And what he does is a bit like Wee Broon Van, but in an American context. He goes on day or weekend or slightly longer trips adventuring off-road through deserts and riverbeds and rocky outcrops, and every video is an adventure, because that's what he's gone out in his van to do. He's not living in it. You're not just getting the minutiae of him buying his groceries. This is an adventure every time as he goes out. And as I say, he's got the filming down to a T, he's got the editing down to a T, bits of voiceover telling the story, linking it all together. It's a really good watch, and there's not many of this kind of video that I find engaging enough. But normally YouTube's recommendations on the homepage, they're rubbish, I find, a lot of the time, but occasionally it throws up a real gem, and this was one of those. It just came out and went, all right, I'll have a look. It's a different kind of vehicle to the normal RVing. Click, instantly hooked. Yes, yes, yes. Again, link in the video description. Well worth your subscription. Go and have a look at Soft-Roading the West. Stand by for something completely different for suggestion number 3. This is Camper Vibe. Emily and Lou, the dog AJ, the cat Summer, a somewhat unreliable Citroen van, and I met this couple and the dog is lovely, by the way. I want to steal your dog, Camper Vibe. He's lovely. And the cat's nice too, but the dog stole my heart. I met them at the Stratford Camper Van show, which I did a video about over on my Camper Van channel. And you know how sometimes you meet people and within half a microsecond you warm to them and you think, what lovely people. Camper Vibe, that's them. Just immediately, oh, you are lovely, friendly, lovely, lovely people, and I like you. And so I started watching their channel because I hadn't really known about them before that, and it's great. It really is good. Again, the filming, the editing, the storytelling, every channel I'm mentioning in this video, it's all super, super good. And Camper Vibe really have got it down on par. It's a mix of drone and handheld and pieces to camera and voiceover and high drama. It's a kind of the opposite of Weebrun van, which is your canal boating style. Very, very easy. It's a bit of high drama with Camper Vibe, particularly on their latest video when they were trying to get back across Europe to Britain for Christmas Day, and they had breakdowns and everything. In fact, that last video wasn't really typical of what they put out, and as they confessed themselves, because normally they do a lot more lovely sweeping panoramas and all that kind of Instagram-like videoing. And the last one was more of a mad panic as they tried to fix 3 separate breakdowns in the van. But they are adorable people that, as I say, really can put a story together in their van, and definitely worth your time. I will warn you now, there's quite a bit of innuendo on the channel. It's a bit cheeky. If you're not one for innuendo, probably best not. But if you like a bit of cheeky innuendo, then definitely worth it. I mean, I'll tell you now, the van is called Fanny. And if you're American, I'll tell you now, Fanny means something different over here. There's, you can guess the jokes they make. Anyway, yeah. So there's some of that as well. But they're so engaging and they're so nice and it's so well put together. Absolutely worth a watch. Last, but by no means least, in this little selection of channels that are really worth your time, it is another camper van channel, and it's Jits Into the Sunset. Now, Jits is Jitters, which is the camper van, which is a very aging, I think it's an auto sleeper symphony. It's actually a camper van that I used to quite hanker after, that particular model. There's something about the way it's laid out that is really neat. Anyway, it's very old. It used to belong to one of their family, I think, and it got handed down to Tanya and Adam. And these, I've talked about how everyone on this list knows what they're doing in terms of storytelling and editing. In editing terms, this is masterclass level. I'm not kidding. Seriously, take it up to here and crank it to 11. Jits Into the Sunset. They don't post very often. They go out on all these adventures across Europe and wherever. They take a whole load of film and then they will spend, I can't imagine how many weeks it must take them to edit their videos, but they will edit them down into kind of half-hour epics. And epic truly is the word for them, because not only is the storytelling brilliant, the photography is just, oh my word. Seriously, if you want to know how to edit beautiful, cinematic, wonderful footage, go and look at Jits Into the Sunset. Their sound, there's little things about it. I couldn't even name what they are, but as I'm watching it, there's just little things about the way they've put it together that you think, oh, that's nice. Oh, that was really good. Ah, look at that. Again, it's kind of annoying having worked in telly because you get interrupted from your viewing by noticing all the little things that someone's done. But by golly, they do it well. It's just a work of art, Jits Into the Sunset. It really is. This is the ultimate. If I sound like I'm raving, it's because I've sat jaw open, agape, watching it thinking, how are they spending this much time on a YouTube video? And there's part of me wishes they'd spend less time and put more videos out, and there's part of me sits there just admiring the sheer wonderfulness of how well they put these together. And they're also very active on Instagram. In fact, their videos are kind of the video version of the Instagram van life. You know how on Instagram all the van life is beautiful sunsets and people looking glamorous? Imagine that in video form. That's what you get with Jits Into the Sunset. So definitely worth a watch. They'd love your subscription here and I'm sure on their Instagram, though they don't need me boosting their Instagram numbers, I'm sure. But yes, definitely one that's worth your subscription, as are all the channels I have mentioned, because they really are channels that are above and beyond the run-of-the-mill YouTube channel. And those are my recommendations to you this New Year's Day. As I say, please put your own suggestions down in the comments below, but Please obey the rules. I am a petty little dictator. It's one of the few joys I get hitting that delete button, and I shall use it liberally for anyone posting stuff outside the rules. It brings me pleasure. So yes, have a great day, enjoy the channels, and there'll be boating content coming soon. Cheerio!